Hey guys, so this week I'm with two friends. So we're going to be talking about applying to study music here and what it's like. So,
yeah,
introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Yoon. I'm from Oriel.
I'm Tommy. I'm at Exeter.
And we're all first year musicians. So, why did you guys decide to study music?
I want to do music. I want to study music because I want to be a conductor, and I see it as an interest that is you can say it's kind of like a passion, but really I think the program in Oxford really helps me to shape my aspiration as a conductor. I think it's just a really holistic subject.
What about you?
I just enjoy music. It's a lot of fun. I was very big on the academic side at school, and so naturally Oxford sort of followed on as a preference from that.
Yeah, I think I was the same. I was really interested in kind of the bigger questions of like how music fits into society, and I quite liked history. So as part of the application process, you have to do lots of things, and one of those things is you have to send in written work after you send in your personal statement. So what did you guys send in?
So I downloaded some questions from ATCL and submitted that as my composition. By the way, I've never done A-levels before, so I was trying to come with other questions that I can find online that may be good enough for Oxford. And then as for essays, I did one music analysis on Beethoven's 7th Symphony, and the other one I did on the conductor's musical language.
Ooh, that's
so it was about its role and some of the controversies that rise around it.
Cool. Right.
I remember submitting 2 essays, both of which I'd written during A-levels. One of them not specifically part of the course, but a wider musical interest. I think it's perfectly valid to submit anything you've done for that. And then I think they wanted Bach chorales or free composition. So I submitted a Bach chorale that we just did as part of the course this morning. I mean, don't worry if you haven't done that, because they won't expect you to send something you've not looked at before.
No, I sent in 2 A-level essays, and I did make them slightly longer than I would do for an A-level exam, because they said they wanted about 1,500 words, but essentially I did put more detail in. Other than that, it was completely an A-level essay for both of them. And then I'm not a composer, so I sent in a Bach chorale, which we did as part of the A-level course, and I also did figured bass, which was on a grade 8 theory paper, but it's also part of the A-level course, so that's where I got it. But yeah, like Tommy was saying, if you haven't done any of those things before, they don't expect you to miraculously be able to. Our friend from St. Hugh's had never done techniques of composition, which is like Bach chorales and stuff before, and they didn't have a problem with it. So once you get through the written work and personal statement and stuff, you could be invited to interview. So how were your interviews?
My interview is a Skype one. It was very interesting. I have a performance audition over Skype. No idea how it went. Probably sounds quite terrible. I don't know. It probably sounds quite terrible, but I don't know. Yeah, but it was interesting. So I was given some music to analyze and to compare them. And both of them are from, I think one's from like really late 20th century, another one's like from like typical classical piece. And you have to find similarities between them. Very interesting. So I struggled quite a bit, but it was very, very fun. I also have to look at kind of like an essay, and then I have to give my comments on it. And essentially, it's almost like a discussion. You can show him, your tutors that you can understand both sides of point of view, and in the end, what your stand is. Things like that.
I got given, like an extract from a book. It's about 2 pages, and I think it was about historically informed performance, which I'd never heard of. They didn't care that I'd never heard of it. They kind of changed the question start, so they asked me like, how does improvisation, is it the same in the 20th century?
That's the one I got.
Yeah. And then is it the same in, what was it? It was like figured bass.
Classical music and jazz, basically.
What was yours like?
It was interesting. I was asked to read passage of something I can't remember at all right now, so it clearly wasn't that important.
At least you read it.
Yes.
I didn't read most of my passage in the interview because I didn't see it. It was on the other side of the page.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't care though. It got to the end
She's
of the interview.
at Oxford, does it matter? Interesting. We had a keyboard sonata from sort of the late Baroque era to have a look at and essentially analyse cadences, key changes. I couldn't really find any cadences.
That was literally, and then they asked us in the interview, they were like, we'll present you with some new material, which is a perfect authentic cadence, and in perfect authentic cadence, and they said, so now we've shown you what it is, can you find it in this piece? And I was just like, I didn't even look at cadences. It didn't even come up.
I think things look very different in exams and in interviews like this when it's under pressure, so...
And they really don't, like, me not looking at the other side of the sheet is something you do under pressure, and they really didn't care. So they care whether you can look at a piece of information, if you have no idea about it, that's good, they'll try and find something you have no idea about, and then give any kind of comment on it. I was talking to our tutor actually, and he said an interview he had with someone who now has an offer is that the really good thing about them is they related it to their own musical experiences. So they don't expect you to know everything, because that would be pointless. There'd be no point in going to university if you did, but just relate to what you know so far. What do you guys think? What did you expect it to be like before you came, and what do you think it's like now in comparison?
I mean, I anticipated there would be essays. I didn't really know what I'd be writing essays on. I think I just assumed it would be standard Western canon stuff. So I thought, oh, I'll learn something about Schubert. I essentially thought it was a continuation of A-levels, which stopped rather abruptly.
How did the first week continue though in our first tutorial?
So that was just what you know about music is about that much. Music is kind of that.
So our first tutorial was global hip hop, ever, which I think was really cool. Like, it's the best module. But yeah, it kind of dispels the we're only going to learn about the Western canon thing.
For me, it's very interesting because I never do so much, like, go in depth into like the really early and the really late Western music. So my first tutorial was on Marshall. So I was like, wow, no, that's like 13th century, and I was like, okay, yeah, but it was very good.
Do you perform?
Yes, so I sing the Oriole Chapel Choir, and then we did a Christmas City recording, and then in summer we're going to go to Italy for a tour.
Oh my god, that's
yes.
And I also sing at the Exeter College Chapel Choir. It's a better choir.
Oh! Shots fired.
That's but we get to do all sorts of mad cool stuff. In the first term, one of our donors wanted the choir to perform for them, so he asked one of his friends if he could book his place for us. So we ended up running around the Tower of London at night.
That is awesome.
That's a very Oxford thing to have. Yeah, you also have other people, so I don't perform at all. I don't sing. I don't compose. I write essays. I'm more like the kind of issues stuff in music. So we do a course where we basically, like a question we could be asked is, like, why did people not want to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration ceremony? Things which have, like, seem like they've got a really obvious answer, but then going into the kind of philosophy behind that and musical meaning and all the big stuff like that. But you both compose as well. So
yes.
What's that like?
I mean, it really depends what you're into. So I enjoy composition. It's something I can just sit down and type away and just write something a bit funny. But you get a fair amount of guidance, but it's really free composition in the sense that you can do what you want. There's no restrictions, as long as what you write is what you want to write. It's your music.
Yeah,
it's good.
And you both conduct as well. How's that?
That's fun. Our last 2 terms, I've been conducting at the workshops that's held by the faculty. It's really good.
Are there opportunities, say if you've never conducted before university, which most people haven't, can you start conducting at university?
Definitely. So the conducting workshops are meant for anyone from any level who are interested. They teach the basics, and so it really try to tailor to your needs and to your level.
Yeah, that's the thing about the music course in general. Like, because we cover such a wide range of music, people really do come in like with their specialities. In some areas, but then have absolutely no idea about others. So we're doing a course at the moment on Richard Strauss's representation of women, and it's basically based on opera. I'd never seen an opera before last week when we had to watch one for our tutorial. But the tutors go through that and acknowledge that everyone comes from different starting points in different areas they like, and you're by no means expected to kind of have like a survey history of Western music or of other music, because that would be pointless. So, final question. Would you recommend someone who is vaguely interested in music, would you recommend that they apply to Oxford to study music?
Definitely.
Does that need to be a question? Of course.